Good, cold, rainy afternoon. I'm Shannon Hughes, your host for the CS podcast, brought to you by the Narrative Justice. Thank you all again for joining us for another Sunday, telling our local narratives, particularly those of folks who are erased and silenced. Today's episode is a long time coming, it seems like. The circumstances that brought us here, from what I hear, has been going on for a few years now. But before we get into that, we always give honor, love, and respect to Leroy Powell. Leroy Powell was 15 years old in 2014 when his life was taken. He was shot and killed in Duquesne. He was a witness to an attempted murder turned infanticide. And our local news media decided that they thought it was a good idea to play his witness statement on the 11 o'clock news. Both he and his mother very completely exposed. Of course, they received death threats immediately. And several days later, Leroy was gone. Leroy is the reason why the narrative justice exists. When I heard that story, I could not get it out of my mind, particularly because it was absolutely our local media that signed his death certificate, essentially. So if that's not the reason for us to always hold local media accountable, I don't know what else is. A reminder, it only takes about 25% of the community for change to occur. So don't think that you need everybody to be on board for change to happen. If you have something in your spirit and your heart to move forward, feel free with moving forward. Pittsburgh proper is only about 310,000 people. You only need about 25% of those folks to make stuff shake. Shout out to state representative, now mayor-elect at Gainey, proof of that. Like, you can make change happen. You don't need everybody to be on board. If you're passionate about something, move forward on it, and the world will move around you. So a quick update on a couple of things. We had Ms. Sandra Cole McCamey on our show several weeks ago. It was actually an emergency broadcast. Her mother is currently being basically held captive at UPMC Montefiore Hospital. She is being carted to a senior home, and the family itself does not want her mother to be in a senior home. They've been trying to get their mother home, their matriarch home, and they're being denied. There's some familial conflict with that, but the interesting thing is Ms. Sandra, it has the power of attorney. The interesting thing is that the hospital is not recognizing her power of attorney. So they've been fighting. Miss Sandra, her sons, her brothers, her grandchildren have been fighting to bring Miss Peggy Cole home. So if you are someone who knows, loves, cares for Miss Sandra or the Cole McCamey family, reach out to UPMC Montefiore. The doctor on her case is Bruce Roman. Please ask to have him removed from their case so that they can move forward. The number for UPMC Montefiore is 412-692-4888. If you want to reach out and support Ms. Sandra directly, even if it is letting her know that you're in her corner, you can reach out to her. You can email her at poorlaw@gmail.com. That's POORLAW@gmail.com, or you can call or text her 412-670-8421. All right. As some of you know, my other hat is the Wellness Collective. As a reminder, if you're someone who is facing challenges with paying rent or utilities, you can apply for rent relief. Anyone in Allegheny County. We are currently running a drop-in center out in McKeesport, 337 Fifth Avenue. So come check us out Monday through Friday. We're usually here chilling. Plenty of space. We also have a food pantry, 337 Fifth Avenue, McKeesport, PA. You can apply for rent or utility relief up until September, hopefully December. But you can come to us. There's several other drop-in centers, but we're the cool ones, so come check us out. But either way, it's fine. Like I said, we do have a food pantry and essentials, so you can come through, get food, cleaning supplies. We do have a clothing closet for free clothes as well that will be available here soon. We just got to get it set up. So if you want to receive food, or if you would like to donate food and other essentials, please do check us out. Again, our address here is 337 Fifth Avenue in McKeesport, PA. All right, so I am going to let that be my last update for now, and I'll get to the rest at the end because I want to get to this particular episode now. The circumstances that brought us here today are wild, like are wild. You know, y'all remember the Flint water crisis in the whole country. You know, like there were folks from Pittsburgh that were like running water up to Flint, Michigan. Like it was absolutely insane. It was insane what those folks were dealing with. Insane what they're still dealing with. But what I did not know is that right here in Pittsburgh and Homewood, that they're dealing with very similar, well, not similar, but they're dealing with a particular type of water crisis that I can't seem to fathom why that would be. So without getting too far into it, I'll let the residents and folks who have been dealing with this for the past 4 or so years tell you all. So I'm going to bring on our first person, Miss Tanya Todd. Hey, Miss Tanya, how are you?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm doing pretty good and hope everyone is fine also. I'm trying to shorten this long, going on 4-year story, but started as a small sinkhole, ended up as a sinkhole in the back of our house, ended up as a whole, as the width of my house, as well as some of the house next door. And the work was done over 2.5 month period, sometimes till 11 or 12 o'clock, 11:30 at night, and it went on for weeks. Once the work was completed in mid-June, we started having problems with sewage backing up into our house. Prior to the work done, we had no problems, no issues. And no matter what we've done, we filed complaints down at the Pittsburgh Water Sewage Company. I filed a complaint with the PUC and contacted Representative at Gainey's office, and he's done all that he could within his power to help with resources. Contacted Senator Costa. They've looked into it. And just don't know where to turn. Where to turn, because we've gotten nowhere, and we've always gotten back from the PWSA, it's our fault, we're responsible to repair this.
So we're definitely going to get into all of that, which is wild. But Ms. Tanya, can you tell us, like, what neighborhood do you live in?
This is in Homewood on Ray Street, 7400 block of Ray Street.
Okay.
Residential.
How long have you lived in Homewood?
I've lived in Homewood most of my life, but I returned back to this house in 1999.
Okay. And you said return back to that house. Is that a family home?
Yes, it's a family home. I was born and raised in this house.
No. Well, thank you so much. So we're going to get more into that story, but I'm going to bring up the other guests as well. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So I'd like to bring up Dwayne. Hey, Dwayne, how are you?
I'm doing all right. How's everyone doing? Can you hear me?
My bad. I was talking and muted myself. Dwayne, where are you from?
I'm from Homewood. I stay on Ray Street. I actually stay right next door to Miss Tanya.
Word up. All right. And similar story? Are you like born and raised Homewood? Did you move over in that area later in life?
I was born in Homewood, then I moved to Wilkinsburg, and then moved to Penn Hills, and then back to Homewood.
Word up. Thank you so much. We're going to bring on our other guests, and we'll get to how your experience has been in this as well. All right. So we have Gabrielle Gray. What's going on, Gabrielle? How are you?
I'm good. How's everybody this evening?
Doing good. So I do know, if I remember correctly, you are born and raised Homewood, correct?
I am.
Yeah. Family legacy out in the way, family home.
Absolutely.
And a staunch advocate for the area as well. So not just living there, very much fighting for the community itself.
Absolutely, yes.
Word up, word up. Well, thank you as well for joining us today. Like I said, like this story has been going on for, as Ms. Tanya said, nearly 4 years. So it's so important to address it. All right, and we have another person in the studio. The name here is Ivy. Ivy, I don't know. Ivy, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, Ivy is on. Okay, good.
I'm here.
Hi, hi. How are you, Miss Ivy?
I'm fine.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. Are you also born and raised Homewood?
No, I'm from New York. Originally from Jamaica, but was living in New York. And I came here like 13 years ago on Way Street.
Okay. What brought you to Pittsburgh?
My stepdaughter was living in Pittsburgh, so I said, let me give it a try for a little bit. So I've been in this house for 13 years and I'm having the same problem as Miss Tanya.
Mm. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. As you all can see, we have 4 residents, and these are not all the folks who are impacted by this water issue, but we have 4 folks who are willing to tell you all about their experience. And again, this has been going on for nearly 4 years, nearly 4 years. So, Ms. Tanya, if you wouldn't mind reiterating like how this all started, because when you told me like a week ago, it blew my mind how this all bloomed into what it's become.
As I mentioned earlier, it started as a small sinkhole, and then the hole ended up, it's the width of my house and some of my neighbors, and as deep as 16 and 19 feet down. And they worked, I don't know exactly what they were doing, but they would work 5 days a week, sometimes to 11 o'clock at night, come back early the next day. And it was during the course of their work, they busted the gas line. So that gas man had to come out, and when he turned my gas back on, he said, "It's a big mess out there. It's a big mess." Little did I realize I would have needed his name and badge number so he could verify that statement, but that's what he told me. And since they finished the work, this sewage has been backing up, costing extra money for cleaning supplies and the inconvenience and low water pressure and it's just unsanitary conditions. So I've tried to keep on top of, but it's starting to take a toll on me now. And talking to the other residents, and then I found out that we weren't the only ones having the problem.
So, well, thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Tanya. I'm actually on the phone with Rep Gainey here. He was in the studio and has some tech issues. Gainey's on the phone. Rep, can you hear everybody?
Yeah, I can hear everybody.
Can y'all hear Rep? Yeah, they can hear you. I'm not sure, Rep. The only thing I can say is try to link again. If it doesn't work, would you be
And
comfortable?
I'll just stay on the phone while we try to get on.
I was just about to say so.
Okay, I can hear everybody.
All right, bet. Thank you so much. All right, so Ms. Tanya was actually just reiterating what transpired, how they got to this point. It started in what struck me was when you said it started by a little sinkhole as the size of the chair I was sitting in your dining room. And it stretched out as far as your house and beyond to your neighbor's house, as big as it got. And then also that, like the gas lines were jacked up, like in the process of the work that was being done. So the gas people had to come out, and then this carried on as long as it has. Ms. Tanya, well, actually anybody, can y'all tell me how has this water issue, how has it in fact impacted your household?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
So it has impacted the household drastically. Every time we use the water, anytime it's coming up through the basement, feces, all that. I got a special needs kid there. My wife, 3 other kids, actually 4 other kids, and it's a continuous thing. And one of my biggest problems is we can't stop using the water. You know, we got to use the bathroom, and we have to flush. How is how are we paying the sewage bill if half of the sewage is coming up in my basement and the other half is going to Miss Tanya's? Shouldn't I be cutting Miss Tanya a check because it's going over there? She doesn't have the help that I have, and we're struggling with all the people in my house trying to contain it. Miss Tanya is next door by herself trying to contain it. Her basement is flooded with feces. She's doing the best that she can, and she's by herself. She doesn't have the help that I have, and I'm struggling with the help. So, they use cameras, they use dye, they keep saying this, and it's an inconvenience, and it's harmful. What are we supposed to do if 1 minute they're blaming it on the sewage, the people, then it's the city, nobody's taking ownership, they want to say it's the lateral, they didn't break it. Y'all broke it. Y'all broke it and y'all don't want to fix it. I don't have the money, neither does Tanya, but this wasn't our fix. If it is the lateral, none of this was nothing that we did. So the sinkhole that she's dealing with from the little mix up, if you lived in Homewood or you know about Homewood, the alleyways look better than the streets because they're fixing the alleyways. They're not doing nothing to the streets. And as they're fixing the alleyways, if they mess up, they're fixing their mess up, putting asphalt down, concrete down, cover up their mistakes, milking a paycheck, cover up their mistakes. And the residents is there to deal with it because we don't have access to those big machines to go over their mistake. We just want to live comfortably, and it seems like because of where we are, we're getting taken advantage of, and it's not cool. The paperwork ain't helping. I've been on the news, 3 times in the last 30 days, doing follow-ups for what? Nothing's getting accomplished, and it's not fair. It's all a race. It's Monticello too.
Mm.
And Chaucer too.
You said Miss Tasha too?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What they're saying is that the sinkholes, and like I told you before, Shannon, I'm not, I'm not sure. The excuses to me are, every time we call out there, they blame it on the property owner. You can't have 3 or 4 sinkholes in less than 2 square miles, and all these sinkholes are not somehow connected. When we're talking about less than 2 miles.
Mm.
If you figure home was 4.2 square miles, something like that, and in 2 square miles you've had 3 sinkholes that I know of. One on Charleston, that was the first one. They said that was the property owner that it started on the property owner's side, and the other 2 on the street we talk about now started on the property owner's side. My whole thing to them was when we talked to them, and we also had the PUC talk to them, is that how is all these sinkholes on the property owner? Like, I can't understand how you got 2 or 3 in a 2 square mile radius. And in each one of, there's got to be a connection. There's got to be something that happened underneath those grounds. Well, there ain't no question that something happened up underneath those grounds that started these sinkholes.
Mm.
The problem is we only have one expert to be able to say, here's what happened. And we don't have the experts on our side to say, no, that's not true. That this started in the street, and this should be a PWSA, or for that matter, Alcasan issue. So when we run into problems, that even when we went to the PUC, and Mel got more of the information on the PUC because he dealt directly with them. So we would have to ask Mel a little bit of that, but he's still recovering from COVID.
Mm.
But I know he dealt with the PUC, but still there was no action taken in regards to it because from their conversation with PWSA, again, it's always on the property owner. But it's hard to understand how you get 3 sinkholes in a 2 square mile radius and think they ain't somehow connected. By no means am I saying it's connected. I'm not saying, I'm saying what I think because I'm not an engineer. So I don't want nobody to say, well, hey, you ain't no engineer. How you know? I don't know. I'm not saying I do know. I'm just saying it's kind of ironic that in the two square mile radius, you've had 2 or 3 sinkholes. All of a sudden, it's the property owner's fault on all of them. That's all I'm saying.
Right. And I find it strange. I'm having a hard time understanding how it could be the fault of Miss Tanya for, Dwayne's issues and Miss Ivy's issues and Gabrielle's issues. And if it's on the property owner, all of the property owners started jacking up their own septic system.
Right.
Like, that's wild to me. Miss Ivy, how have you been impacted? You're muted, love.
Yeah, it bothered me because it's just me and my 2 kids, and we have to be down there every day trying to get the water out. The landlord tried to fix it. He go in the back, he dig the back out, he put new pipes in there and stuff like that, but it's still coming down. And we have to be going down there all the time to get it out. Just have a little pump down there.
And let's not forget that we're in a global pandemic, right? Like, we might be coming out of it now, but this has been over a year and a half that we've been in this pandemic, and where like personal hygiene was literally saving or taking lives. How did y'all like, y'all had to live through that, like, with this particular issue? How was that? You muted, Miss Ivy.
Yeah, we have to keep buying like cleaning stuff for the smell don't come up and stuff like that. So we have to always keep buying that, just to try not to make the scent come upstairs and stuff like that. But it's hard. It's really hard. And then to move to find another place to go, it's hard to find another place to go too.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard there are folks who had to leave. They had to leave Homewood, leave their home.
Yes, I heard about it too. Yeah.
Actually, Dwayne, if you don't mind me saying, y'all are planning to leave as well, right?
Yeah, we're trying to, because I just want this over. Like, it's not easy trying to find a big house to accommodate. You know what I'm saying? Even though I got 2 more kids that's trying, be on their own, because I'll just keep downsizing until it's just me and my wife. I just want everybody to just get out my face. So, but in the meantime of that, yeah, I'm trying to, because I can't keep dealing with it. I shouldn't have to keep trying to run. But still, it's that problem's going to be there for the next people. And it's what do you do? If they're going to keep saying that it's somebody else's fault, but nothing's getting done, it's easy to say you put this camera down there and all right, the city got the money, they got it. So we taxpayers too. Use some of that money, fix up y'all mistake. We'll stop. We shouldn't even have to do this. I shouldn't have had to be on the news. But how many times Miss Tanya done pushed that paperwork in, and they just push it off to the side. All right, yeah, we'll check it out. When I got on the news, that next day, I'll say, not that next day, the day after, they had some people out there looking around, trying to see what the issue is. And I go outside, I try to tell them, like, no, listen, run that thing all the way up there, because everything's coming from up that way. Y'all going down there, and y'all ain't doing this right. I'm not no contractor. I'm not trying to tell them how to do the job. I'm just trying to tell them the job they're not doing is the job that we need done. That's all.
Yeah, it's. I couldn't imagine. Well, actually, no, I could imagine being displaced, having been displaced before in my life as well. But to be forced out of not only your home, but in some cases your community, because of this issue, And I can't help but to think about, you know, the sinkhole that happened downtown, and who was it? PWSA was saying it was the city, and the city was saying it was PWSA, and everybody had their hands up. And this very much reminds me of that situation. Ed, I want to ask you, you know, because, you know, like, we're all community members, we're residents, small potatoes, but you're, you know, state representative, now the mayor. What has this experience? What's that?
I said, not yet. We still got one more round to go.
You're right, not yet, but we're gonna speak what we know to be. But yes, but you know, like, you got a little bit more weight, like you in the rooms. You're a decision maker. What has this process been like for you, advocating for the community?
It's tough because you need other elected officials to step up as well.
Mm.
Some other elected officials that need to make a comment too, particularly, you know what I mean? You know, particularly with those that deal directly with the city. But, you know, from our point of view, what they don't understand is what I try to tell PWSA. You can keep putting it off, but the reality is this. It's going to cost you more money in 2 years to fix a problem than it's going to cost you now. Now, if you're saying all this is on the property owner, then, you know, I'm not an engineer again. Let me say I'm not an engineer, so I can't sit here and argue that. But what I'm saying is that there's obviously something wrong if you've had 2 or 3 sinkholes in less than 2 miles. Like, what you don't understand is that whatever's under the ground is causing these sinkholes. At the end of the day, there's going to be some more.
Mm.
There's going to be more because it hasn't been fixed. So instead of the cost being what the cost is right now, you're looking to cost multiply because there's going to be, I'm telling you there's going to be more sinkholes.
Mm.
I'm telling you there's going to be more sinkholes because the problem has not been fixed.
Mm.
And until they investigate what's going on underneath there, you know what I mean, to really determine where the sinkholes are coming from, not just that it's on the property owner, but what's really going on, and you're going to continue to have more. That's obvious.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, they're really pushing it down the hill, but the bill is going to be high. You know, you got these sinkholes, and at some level, someone has to determine where and why these sinkholes, where it started from, what's going on, why it's happening, and what is the remedy.
Mm.
And, you know, it's just, and here's the reality or what it is. You know, we focus on Homewood, but let's be real, it's not only in Homewood. You got these sinkholes popping up all over the city now, just like you talked about downtown. Them pipes, they're old. They're old. Whatever, I don't know what it is, I'm not an engineer, but whatever's under the ground that's making these issues, that's the problem.
Mm.
That's the problem. And I can't tell you what that is, Shannon, because I'm not an engineer. But what I am saying is that it's obvious that if you don't do something about it right now, you're going to have more and more sinkholes, not only in Homewood, but throughout the city.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We got Gabby back in the studio. Gabby, can you tell us how this issue has been affecting your household?
Yes. So I don't have a sinkhole issue. However, I have dealt with Pittsburgh Water Sewage Authority with regards to the replacement of my lead lines. And they denied me the first time and told me that it was my responsibility to replace the lead lines, and because they had already replaced their portion of the lead lines. And so that is not my problem. That is not my fault, because it's a known fact. Even the CEO, Will Pickens, said that Pittsburgh Water Sewage Authority has deferred infrastructure and investment in infrastructure for 3 decades. Pittsburgh Water Sewage Authority was formed in 1984. So that means they've been deferring investment in infrastructure ever since they were established to fix this very problem. So I went to city council, and Burgess actually helped me get Pittsburgh Water Sewage Authority to do my lines free of charge, as well as fix my retaining wall. I also had to call the PUC regarding my retaining wall, and because they told me to foot the bill, because that was not their problem, that the contractors were backed up. And again, Pittsburgh Water Sewage Authority has been negligent since 1984. This has been a problem. Will Pickens, the current CEO, said so out of his mouth, that Pittsburgh Water Sewage Authority for the next 10 to 15 years is going to have $1 billion investment in infrastructure. Well, first of all, what you're not going to do is lay that $1 billion at my footstep. Then secondly, what you're not going to do is tell me that you have $1 billion problem that you allowed to turn into $1 billion problem. Because just as the current CEO says, and I'll pull up the article, it's in Public Source, where Pickering reached out to some city and local government officials to ask about PWSA. Frankly, a lot of people warned me of PWSA. Now, this is the current CEO. He says, quote, "That place is a mess. Steer clear." He said he was advised. One of PWSA's biggest challenges over the next 10 to 15 years will be balancing the need for vast infrastructure improvements while also trying to keep Pittsburgh Water Sewage Authority rates affordable. Pickering, the CEO, said PWSA kept rates artificially low in the past, deferring major repairs for 3 decades. So what you're not going to do is raise my rates. And that's the bottom line on that. They're already the rates we should not be paying. We should be paid restitution because of the 2017 Pittsburgh water crisis, which was caused by Pittsburgh Water Sewage Authority neglect. They were in contract with the company that caused the Flint water crisis. That same company was here in Pittsburgh in 2012. They signed a contract and they ignored the public. They ignored everybody. They didn't even report to the EPA when they changed the chemicals. You're supposed to tell the EPA when you replace chemicals in our water, Pittsburgh Water Sewage Authority. You're supposed to do that by law, and they did not do that. And so, just like Gainey was saying, it is time to hold all of our elected officials accountable. Gainey, number one. Well, actually, no, our senator, Ms. Williams. She needs to be held accountable because, see, Jay Costa, he seems to be kind of active in the community over in the Hazelwood area. It's our senator, our representation needs to step up to the plate. We need some legislation to tighten up these laws, because what you're not going to do is produce faulty data by taking measurements from your facility about the lead levels, but you didn't take them from my home. Josh Shapiro had to press 161 third-degree misdemeanor charges against Pittsburgh Water Sewage Authority because Peduto didn't, Gainey didn't, Williams didn't, nobody did. The EPA didn't, the DOJ didn't even do it. The Attorney General, Josh Shapiro, filed 161 third-degree misdemeanor charges against Pittsburgh Water Sewage Authority because they never came out to our homes to measure the lead. But what they failed to realize is that your lead levels coming out of your brand new facility, of course, those lead levels are going to be low. But by the time it gets to my house, it has been pumped through. It has flowed through a water system that has been banned for decades. So all about these sinkholes, well, that was bound to happen. 37 years of neglect. The CEO said so himself for 3 decades. What do we think is going to happen if no one holds Pittsburgh Water Sewage Authority accountable and all we do is press 161 charges? Even Josh Shapiro says, and I quote right here from his press release, when he pressed those charges, "I hope that with these charges, we can shine a light on these violations and force the necessary reforms to take shape to keep Pittsburgh's drinking water safe." That includes our infrastructure. That's water and sewage. See, Sylvia Wilson, she sits on the Alcoasam board. She's the treasurer. We need to be holding elected officials and all of our leaders accountable for this egregious mess. The mayor needs to be held accountable in particular. And whoever that company is, that French company that went into partnership with Pittsburgh Water and Sewage Authority, they need to be more than sued by the city of Pittsburgh. We need reforms, just like Shapiro said, reforms in our Pittsburgh Home Rule Charter, as well as in our Pennsylvania Constitution, because even everybody, even the county has failed us. The health department has failed us. They all have failed us. This is the largest debacle and the most dangerous debacle, because water is related to everything, including violence. They've noticed that lead levels increased violence. So if you don't handle your lead levels and your water situation, then how are you going to be out here preaching in the streets to me about you handling violence when you can't even handle our water? So that's where my situation is. I'm at the point now where I with Pittsburgh Water Sewage Authority myself, because leadership was not there at all. They left me hanging. The only one who helped me was Ricky Burgess. Thank you to him. That is one thing he did for me, and I appreciate it. However, nobody else has led the way in making sure that our underserved community, our neighborhood of Homewood, gets the proper services and support that it deserves. We didn't even have a meeting regarding the water situation, the sinkholes. This is the very first meeting, Shannon. Thank you so much for doing this show, because this is the very first meeting, community meeting that I've been to where I've been able to express this. So again, I've handled Pittsburgh Water Sewage Authority on my own with regards to getting my things fixed. However, what they're not going to do is raise our rates. They tried to raise it 19%. The PUC stopped them, and they raised it 9%, which still makes water unaffordable for 1/3 of Pittsburgh residents. And that's against the Home Rule Charter. We have a right as sovereign residents of the city of Pittsburgh to have access to water. So that's what my big gripe about Pittsburgh Water Sewage Authority has been.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you so much, Gabby. Always the one with all the information. So I appreciate you reading off the article and getting into some of the nitty gritty as it relates to PWSA and the history of it. Super, super important. Super important. And so where you all are now are still battling just for clean water. Ms. Tanya, I want to ask you, because some things you told me that you've been experiencing was more than shocking. It was disturbing to me. What has been the community response to this sewage issue on you?
Well, I have been reported to the health department by my neighbors. I have had my windows broke, tires slashed due to me pumping out my basement. And I had to get it out my house, and several complaints to the health department. They came out, and once I even called them for myself, because hoping that they would have triggered something with the PWSA. But people are now seeing that I'm not the only one, because we all pump out in the alley, and it's draining into another sinkhole that's developing. And also, in my case, the first responders for the sinkhole was Wilkinsburg Penn Joint Water Company. Tried to file a complaint with them, couldn't get anywhere. So people are more understanding, and I wrote a letter and took around to the neighbors. Please bear along with me. This is out of my control. If you have any suggestions, feel free to contact me and help me try and solve this issue. I have had, you had mentioned sanitation. I haven't had hot water going on 4 years because it's flooded out my hot water tank. And I had just got a new boiler put in, and it flooded that out, but the newer ones dry out and start again. But it has caused me physical, emotional, and damage, and just I don't know where to turn. And again, Gainey has been a big help. Senator Costa has tried to. I have not heard anything but from Ricky Burgess's office.
Thank you so much. We also reached out to Ricky Burgess's office, have not heard anything yet. When you told me the aggression you've been receiving from folks that didn't understand that this isn't an issue that you caused or have too much control over, that was shocking. And as I was walking around your neighborhood and talking to residents who've been impacted by this, actually there was a group of kids who were walking behind your house and they screamed some obscenities toward your house regarding the sewage issue. So having seen that like firsthand, and we just met, and I was just sitting in your house and you were telling me that like you've been facing aggression, people throwing, I sat there and I looked at the hole in your window. And you told me that your son just had to replace your tires for your tires being slashed. Miss Tanya Todd is one of our elders, disabled Black woman, and has been dealing with this for nearly 4 years. Nearly 4 years. All of these residents, all of these folks have been facing health concerns and crisis, right? Like because they don't have clean water or having to deal with the sewage issue building up in their homes. That's insane. Like that is wild. So what I want to ask is, what do you all see being the next step to repair? What's necessary to move forward, and what can the community do to support y'all and support us, really, right? Like, because like Rep said, like this isn't a Homewood issue. Like them sinkholes are popping up everywhere. So what can we do collectively to support y'all who are right now dealing with the issue, and therefore supporting us because we know it's coming to all of us? Ms. Tanya, you go.
Okay. To start with, we did not have any problems prior to them doing the work. Now, like State Rep Gainey said, I'm not an engineer either, but it stands to reason that they caused the issue, because once the work was completed, and then we start having issues. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. Just want them to step up and be responsible and fix the damage that they caused, instead of telling us it's our fault and estimates run between $28,000 to $19,000 to repair one household.
Now, Rep, you had, as we were talking about the repair of a single home, you actually brought up a good point. Can you reiterate what does that actually look like? So should we move forward and help just one of the residents? Like, where do you see the challenge would be with that?
Well, I mean, I think it may be two, because during this conversation, it did come up. Penn Wilkinsburg also has half a home. And so when I said they need to go in there and figure out like exactly where it began, like, for one, they can go in there and fix what they messed up right now. They can go in there and repair that, whatever that repair is. The problem is if it's upstream going towards Wilkinsburg, and because it's the same, the pipes are the same age, but Penn Wilkinsburg handles half those pipes. It may be time to have a conversation, and I'll have Mel call up there on Tuesday. It may be time to have a conversation with Penn Wilkinsburg too, to see exactly what role they play, if they play a role at all. But I know half of Homewood does go, starting from Brushton, does go to Penn Wilkinsburg. The rest is coming to PWSA. So from the PWSA side, they contacted the right people. They contacted, I think the only person left that they need to contact will probably be the administration. And call, or Shannon, I tell you something that would be great. Call a meeting up there, invite all the elected officials. Invite the mayor, invite me, invite Ricky, invite Jay, invite Lindsay, and invite some people from PWSA to have a meeting right on the street and say, hey, and let them hear the horror stories of what's going on. Let them hear what they've been told, but also explain to them that in less than 2 square miles, we've already had 2 or 3 sinkholes. And they understand the significance of that because they're having them all over the city. And so having a meeting and calling everybody there, that'll at least be step one in getting something done to remedy. And then also to talk about some of the things that need to happen based on the cost that these residents have lost.
Mm.
That would be a great thing to call a meeting. The residents call a meeting, send out a letter, and then I'll follow up with everybody like, look, this is something we need to go to, or have Ricky do it because it is a city issue of having this meeting right there on the street, and all of us present. Something got to come out of it.
Mm.
That way, you got everybody in one location.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea to me because
I couldn't do that before because of the pandemic.
Right.
But the pandemic, all that, most of that stuff's been lifted.
Mm-hmm.
So now it provides an opportunity to go ahead and do that. And I know that Tanya goes to Baptist Temple. We could do it right at. I'm more than sure Reverend Lott let us do right at Baptist Temple because they've also been instrumental in helping her out as well.
Mm.
So even if we did it at Baptist Temple, I think that's the first step of finding a solution. Because the other step we can't do. We don't have the money to hire no engineers.
Word up. Somebody in the chat has said, or in the comment section says, sounds like they are trying to drive folks out of the community so they can do what they did in East Liberty. Now, that's not the first time I heard that. There was another resident that I spoke to during this process who could not be on tonight because of tech issues. But they were very adamant that, there's no intention to fix the water issue with the current residents, that, the folks being displaced is something that is a wanting due to gentrification and a wanting for gentrification. So I want to ask, do you all feel like there's any possibility or validity to that concern?
No, because Pittsburgh Water Sewage Authority ignored their responsibility to do their job. That ain't got nothing to do with gentrification and nothing. That got everything to do with corruption within Pittsburgh Water Sewage Authority that must be investigated by the DOJ.
I'm sorry. I just don't got nothing. I don't have nothing positive to say. It's not because it don't matter. They're not going to do nothing. They're not, unless somebody is actually in a higher position. It's not going to. It's not going to. They're not taking. They don't care. It don't matter how much we huff and puff. If we ain't huffing and puffing to the right particular person, everything always boils down to one person. That one person, we just haven't scratched that surface yet. But all we're going to do is just keep saying the same thing, and they're not doing nothing. They're going to, because it's money to them. And they're not trying to spend no money because they don't care. So they don't care how much I'm pumping. They don't care how much Miss Tanya is pumping out her basement. They're okay with it because to them, she's cool. She's dealing with it. They don't care. All of them down raise her, the other person. They don't care. So that's why it's like, if we're not talking to the right people for it to happen, because they want us to come out of pocket because it helps them more. And all we're doing is paying a plumber for the plumber to tell us, I can't help you, man. This is a city issue. I can't tap into that and I can't do this. Or just drop the money down and make your own pipe and tap into their land, which is older. And it's another issue. Everything's about money and power. And where we're at, we don't have neither one. So they don't care. They don't. And they're I've always been one of them type of people where I'm not letting nobody take my joy. I can be upset about certain things, but they're hurting my family. I got a 12-year-old that's down there in the basement right as we speak because I'm at Walmart and he's washing clothes. But guess what he has to do while he's washing clothes? He got to put boots on. He got to put a mask on. He got to put gloves on to sweep up all the mess. And from him washing clothes, it's still going to come up from the floor. They bring up all the toilet paper. Half of the stuff is going to go over to Tanya's. And it's a routine that nobody shouldn't have to do. And it don't matter who we talk to. It's not going to get done.
That's wild. Ms. Tanya, it looks like you were about to say something.
I'm tired of it. Yeah, I'm tired of it.
Well, at this stage, I feel in agreement with state representative at Gainey. We should make them accountable. Um, what do we have to lose? We have, demand that we meet with them and try and get it through their heads that to fix what they messed up. They have disrupted my life for 4 years, going on 4 years, and I don't want to go down like this. But something has to be done, and done soon. It's a health hazard inside as well as outside. So let's get them, let's call them out, and let's get them to be accountable.
Shannon, I'd be willing to work with you to set up the meeting. I'd have to work through you, of course, and we understand that. But I'll be willing to work with you to set up the meeting. I think that you have to get the officials out here. You have to get them out here. There's a difference. Several have been contacted, but several have not. And so instead of trying to call everybody individually, sometimes they need to come and see for themselves. But even if we had a meeting at Baptist Temple and we just did a tour, there's some members from PWSA out here to talk about the proximity of these sinkholes. I think that would be a start. But I also want to go back to something that you said that's relevant, particularly when we talk about between PWSA and property owners. What you said downtown when they had the sinkhole right in front of the hotel was the squabble between city and PWSA about who the responsibility. You see the same thing right here between homeowners and PWSA. And so, brother was correct. It comes down to the money. That's what it comes down to. And so, it would be better if we just had everybody out here, and then everybody can be on record of what's being said and what action needs to be taken.
And you already know I'm always willing to support in whatever way I can. I'm not from Homewood, so I don't feel comfortable taking lead on that. But for the Homewood residents that's on this podcast, the Homewood residents who are not,
we can talk to OBB.
Word up.
I've been down there too.
What?
Word up.
They're aware.
And also, Miss Tanya, thank you and shout out to you. Like you brought this all together. So Miss Tanya, if you're willing to, spark a meeting, you already know you got my support. And Rep just he'll be there as well. And that is very important. And I want to jump back to something Dwayne has said about power. And I think all of you have said in your own ways, like, make no mistake, the power is definitely in the people. Right. Like when people show up, the systems have no choice but to listen. So the more that we come out and support, whether folks want to pay the money and admit fault or not, when we come out collectively, then there's no choice but to listen. So never think that you don't have power. Never think that we ain't got what we need. Like we got what we need right in ourselves,
And it may not be flowing all the way up top. You know what I mean? That's why I say you got to put everybody in the room, because it may not be flowing up top. It may be stopping at an executive director at PWSA. It may not be going all the way up top. There's a difference. There's a difference in the level of authority.
That part.
Well, there's an audit that says different. There's audits that have been done by all kinds of public officials that say it's from the top all to Pittsburgh Water Sewage Authority that needs to be investigated, because you can't fix nothing until you fix Pittsburgh Water Sewage Authority's mess. Because first of all, for the simplest reason, Michael Lamb noticed common threads: a lack of leadership within PWSA, unauthorized changes often to cut costs, and little accountability. State Auditor General Eugene De Pasquale announced his office would conduct a separate audit of the organization to see if blame falls solely on Pittsburgh Water Sewage Authority leaders, or if there is shared responsibility with the agency's overseers, like the Department of Environmental Protection, the Environmental Protection Agency, and the Allegheny County Health Department. So, bottom line, it don't matter about having a meeting about sinkholes. You have to have a meeting about fixing Pittsburgh Water Sewage Authority's corrupt practices, period. Or else we're going to have the same meeting over again. That's why stuff repeats all the time. We never fix anything. We're always in crisis mode. We always want to put a Band-Aid on a tumor. You have to fix the tumor. The tumor is Pittsburgh Water Sewage Authority gets slaps on the wrist. They dumped sludge into the Allegheny River. And in 2021, the DOJ didn't do anything. All they did was said, yeah, y'all violated the Clean Water Act and y'all need to fix that problem. That's unacceptable. If I steal a Snicker bar, Gainey, I'm locked up in jail, restitution, court costs, and fines. Gainey, do you hear me?
And Gabby, I think what I'm trying to say, Gabby, is that, PWSA has many issues. There's no question about that. There's enough reports out there to indicate the issues that PWSA had and the fact that they do need to be fixed. That's a given. I don't think no one on this call is arguing that, or on this broadcast is arguing that. Matter of fact, I think you would find agreement there. But what I'm saying, until then, these homeowners are suffering. And as these homeowners are suffering, because I've been working with Ms. Todd myself, as them suffering, they need to be remedied right now. They need solutions right now. They can't wait for PWSA to be fixed while they're suffering right now. And as long as they're suffering, that means a couple things. One, they're coming out of pocket, which means that there's an increase to their costs, which means there's a net decrease in the amount of money they have for disposable income to be able to deal with some of the issues that they need to deal with. Number one issue, that ain't even the number one issue, that's probably number two issue. The number one issue is a public health problem. They're living with feces in their basement. It's coming up every time they try to do something, which means that they got to continue to pump out different things and use more money as expense to be able to clean up. And so my thing is, how do we get them taken care now? PWSA, I don't think no one's disagreeing, but we understand that there's no microwave meals and change. And so that's going to be a little bit down the line. What I'm saying is that they need help right now. And if we're going to get them the help right now, then it is about bringing them together and saying, listen to what these residents are going through, just like they do in other neighborhoods like Beachview, Brookline, Overbrook, Squirrel Hill, and everywhere else. Our job right now is to get them as much help as we can possible, as that we can get them. The long-term remedy for PWSA, that remains to be seen. But right now, we need to help the people that need the help right now, that don't have the money to deal with crisis that they're dealing with.
And to that, Rep, one of the homeowners that's been impacted that I spoke to, they own several properties, and one of their properties that's impacted by this, they actually did, started moving forward to pay out for the issue so that the problem could just be worked out. I believe they paid around $8,000, and
it's $7,000 to $10,000 to do the digging, to do the pipes. That's what I'm talking about. This is money people don't have.
Well, what they were told by the plumber is that they can't even do anything. It would have to be PWSA or the city to deal with it. They said that the pipes went like over 20 feet down, and so that they couldn't even move forward with the job. So they paid $8,000 and got nothing out of it, and they're still facing the same issue.
And Shannon, that's the type of people that you want to have at these meetings, because they provide the expertise that we don't have. Mm-hmm. And so having them there making that comment also solidifies that this is also a problem that's outside the hands of the property owner.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, y'all. So you
gotta get but the original meeting has to happen. Mm-hmm. If the original meeting doesn't happen, it doesn't get. Look, we've called down. I know PUC is called down. But at the end of the day, we as a neighborhood, and back then we were in the pandemic too, so let me be real. It's hard to get a community meeting in a pandemic. That happened. I get it. But now the pandemic it's not over, but it's not where it was at. We can have that meeting. And everybody that's there from the state, you can even get Congressman Doyle to come. So now you got the feds, the state, the local, all the way down to the school board, saying, hey, listen, look what's going on here. And it's not one sinkhole. That's the ability to say in the 2 square mile, we've had a couple sinkholes. Now you got to explain to me how this thing connects.
Mm-hmm. And Ms. Tanya, I heard you say that you would be willing to facilitate, to initiate this conversation at Homewood, to initiate this movement. Is that so? You're muted.
I'm ready.
You ready?
Yes, Sam. I'm willing to and ready. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes. All right.
Going on too long. Too long.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can't thank you enough for bringing this all to fruition, and being a staunch advocate, not only for yourself, but for your community. Ms. Tanya, how can folks get in contact with you? Folks who have been watching this entire live, folks who will see this, folks who have been hearing about it, and folks who are impacted directly or indirectly, how can they get in contact with you to assist?
You can either call or text me at 412-436-6825 or email TANYADT7@gmail.com.
Wonderful, wonderful. So it sounds like there's going to be a meeting coming down the pike about this horrendous issue, right? Like, and this is no small matter. As Gabby had pointed out, and all of you have pointed out, like, we can't live without water. Like, we can't exist in a city without water. So here goes Ms. Tanya's information. Ms. Tanya, make sure I got this information right. Your phone number is 412-436-6825.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Email is tanyadt7@gmail.com.
Correct.
All right. So it looks like we're going to be moving forward on that. I held you all here for about a little over an hour. But before we close out, is there anything else that y'all feel is important for folks to know before we close out here?
Just continue to, those who believe in the power of prayer, pray for us. And I'm open to any suggestions and any ways of trying to handle this. I've looked at this upside down, backwards, around, and this issue is really a big one. So I'm open to all positive comments and solutions.
Thank you, Ms. Tanya.
Mm-hmm.
Rep, since you're on the phone, you can't see people's responding. Is there anything else that you want to say before we cut out today?
No, I just appreciate the podcast. I think, anything we can do to help the residents, we're willing to do. So trying to get this meeting together, I'm willing to work with them to do that.
Word up. Thank you very much. Ms. Ivy, is there anything else that you want to leave us with?
Yes, I'm glad I joined this today, and I'll get in touch with Miss Tanya because I live close to her, just above her. So I will get in touch with her too.
Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for being a part of this.
Okay, thank you. Welcome.
Yes. Gabby, anything that you want to leave us with?
Tanya, it's so nice to meet my neighbors. I'm up on Kedger Street in the 7200 block. So I don't think I'm too far away from any of you. And I thank you, Shannon, for having this broadcast today. And I thank you, Representative Gainey, for being on the call. And I look forward to moving forward with this very most productive meeting.
Word up, word up. Thank you so much, Gabby, for everything. We lost Dwayne, but shout out to Dwayne for coming on and speaking up and speaking truth to power. As he had mentioned, he's been on the news like several times in the past week, speaking out on this issue. This is not a small thing. This is a huge thing that's been going on for about 4 years now. It needs to end now. And as has been pointed out, like, this isn't a Homewood issue, it's a Pittsburgh issue. And if we don't catch it soon, it's going to be a hell of a lot worse sooner rather than later. So that'll do it for today. Thank you all for joining us today. This is the CS podcast. I have a couple of more updates before we close out. One of the things I want to mention, as I had said before, my other hat is the Wellness Collective. What we essentially do, we're a neighbor-to-neighbor resource consortium. So what that means is when a neighbor has a need, we do whatever we can to fill that need. We don't have the restrictions like traditional social safety nets, so we get to move however we get to move. Right now, we're running a drop-in center in McKees Port. I always get McKees Port and McKees Rocks mixed up. I'm from the north side. Anyway, in McKees Port for rent relief. So if you are having a hard time paying your rent or utilities due to COVID, feel free to drop by and check us out, 337 Fifth Avenue in McKees Port. One of the, and there will be more on this here soon because we're just finishing up, but I'm super excited about, we have created, this didn't work out the way I wanted it to. Now you can see my face. We have created the community bank, which I will be explaining more on what that is here soon. So check us out. Definitely keep, it's on my face, but keep in touch and look out for more information on the community bank. But like I said, the Wellness Collective, our intention is to make sure that our communities are taken care of. That's our neighbors and our communities as a whole. And we thoroughly believe that we have what we need in our communities. We don't really need to rely on systems to save us or sustain us. We have what we need. As a reminder, it only takes about 25% of the community to affect change. Only takes about 25%. So keep that in mind, especially as we're going and moving through this water crisis, right? Like we don't need everybody to be on board initially. It only takes about 25% to spark viral change. And there's more than 25% of us who is impacted and see the importance of dealing with water. So, you know, like I said, like make sure you reach out to Ms. Tanya Todd. Make sure you reach out to Rep. Gainey and all of the Homewood residents who are participating in fixing and remedying this water crisis. If there is anyone who is interested in donating to the food pantry, please hit us up, or you could drop by anytime between Monday or Friday. 10 to 6, we're at the drop-in center in McKeesport, 337 Fifth Avenue, McKeesport, PA. One last reminder, Ms. Sandra Cole is fighting for her mother. She's fighting to bring her mother home. Her mother is currently being held at UPMC Montefiore. The doctor who is assigned to her is Bruce Roman. The Cole McCamey family is asking that you all call Montefiore at 412-692-4888 and request that they remove Dr. Roman from Miss Peggy Cole's case so that they can bring her home. The family has everything that they need at home to take proper care of her. They want her there. She has all of the support in the world. There's no reason why she should go to a home. She has a home. So if you would like to support Miss Sandra, please do give UPMC Montefiore a call, or you can hit up Miss Sandra directly. Her email is poorlaw@gmail.com. Her phone number is 412-670-8421. If it's anything, just to say like we support you and we love you, because I couldn't imagine how difficult this time is for their family. And that will about do it today. Thank you all for joining us again for the CS podcast. We'll be back next Sunday. Y'all have a good one.